Let's talk about what is React.js. React.js is a JavaScript library. It's not a framework, it's a library. So let's look at what exactly it provides. React.js is an open source JavaScript library for building user interface. It runs on the browser like our normal JavaScript code. It's developed by Facebook and it has a huge community of developers. So let's try to understand what is the difference between a library and a framework. Like other technologies like AngularJS, it's a framework. It provides you everything. It provides you capability to build UI. It provides you capability to do network calls like HTTP calls. It provides you capability to do routing between the components. Like it helps you to navigate between components. And all these capabilities and much more comes as a part of Angular framework. And that's why it is quite complete, hence it's called framework. But React.js is not a framework, it's just a library. And its focus is to build user interface. So React.js is a library focused on building user interface, which means that other capabilities like making network calls to an API to fetch data or post data using HTTP mechanism, that is not inherently provided by React, but you can definitely use third-party libraries to get that capability. Similarly, to get the capability of routing between the components, it's not inherently provided by React.js, but definitely there are third-party libraries which we can easily use and integrate with our React application. So React.js is normal JavaScript, so it can easily be understood by browser and run by browser. React.js is developed by Facebook, and that's why it's also supported by Facebook, and Facebook has many of its applications built on it, and many other big websites are built on Facebook, and many startups also use this Facebook-based React library. Hence, there is a huge community of developers who contribute to Facebook's React.js library. So React is a component-based, focused on building UI library. What it is? It's component-based library, which means you can build your UI, but those UI will be broken down into small components. Like navigation will be a component, and footer can be a component, a header can be a component, article can be a component, a button can be a component, a card layout can be a component. So you build small UI components and reuse them. So as soon as we start reusing, it helps us a lot to save cost, and also it makes our big application very efficient because we build once and reuse them as much as we want. Just imagine of a function which helps you to calculate addition of two numbers. So you write the logic inside a function and then call that function whenever you want to perform the logic of addition. You don't have to write this code again and again. That function takes care of it. Similarly, React is a component-based library. So you build the component once. You inside the component you say how it should look like, what is the HTML markup, and what is the data it should render. You tell it once, and next time onwards when you use this component, you just pass the data and the component knows how to render the UI itself. That's why it's called create component once and use it multiple times. You can use the same component multiple times. React helps us to build single page application which will give it a feel of like a mobile app. Like a mobile app, when you use, your app does not reload. Like when you access a browser, a website, when the website loads from one page to another, it refreshes. You will see this browser window refreshes. But in case of single page application, there's just one page and the page content gets dynamically replaced. Hence you don't see the browser being refreshed, which gives the user a feeling of using a mobile app, because that's what a mobile app also does. So this is in a nutshell what is React.js. Let's look at how a component looks in a React.js. In React.js, a component is just a piece of HTML with some data rendered out. But the advantage is that you build a component once and use it multiple times. Let's say this is a card component with a text here header and another text here with a title and some text here. You use the same component, card component, like this. You change automatically its style gets changed, its contents gets changed. So you can reuse this component as many times as you want. So let's look at what is JSX. Because the code that you write inside a React component is not straightforward HTML code. It is something called as JSX, and that stands for JavaScript XML, and that allows us to write HTML inside our React component. And JSX makes it easier to write and add HTML in the React component. So as mentioned, React is a JavaScript library, which means we write the HTML inside the JavaScript. So let's look at an example. So this is a React component, let's say React component called car. And it is just a JavaScript function, but if you see, what it returns is an HTML code. And this HTML code is called JSX. So this is the syntax where you are writing HTML inside a JavaScript function. This syntax is called JSX. Same way, now I have created a component, and this is my another component, which is garage. I am now returning a piece of HTML along with my newly created component from this garage component. So this way of writing your HTML inside a JavaScript is called JSX syntax, which is JavaScript XML syntax. That's why it becomes very important that every tag that has an opening should also have a closing tag, because it follows strictly the XML syntax. And that's why if you see, car is also self-closed component here. And remember that every function should return the whole content inside it wrapped across a tag. So here you see it can be a div tag, closing ending div tag, or paragraph tag, doesn't matter. If you don't want to use any tag, just use React fragment, and that's nothing but opening curly braces, opening angular brackets, and closing angular brackets. This is called React fragment. So you wrap your content inside a React fragment or inside a parent tag. Only then return it as one chunk. That's the important thing to know. We will look at this with examples in future. Let's look at React features and its popularity. So React is declarative, which means you just tell what you want and React will build a UI for you. You don't have to tell how it should do it, which means you have created a component, and now when you use that component, you just tell it that I need a card. It knows how to create that card component for you. You don't have to every time tell it you have to create a card like this, like this, like this. No. That's why React is declarative. You just say what you want. and React knows how to build it for you. React does DOM updates very efficiently using virtual DOM concept. What does this mean? We have a normal DOM structure, document object model, like the HTML is structured in a tree format, and every change that we do, the tree gets updated and shown. But that's very inefficient because it takes a lot of time and consumes a lot of processing power. React does it in a much better way. It uses the concept of virtual DOM instead of actual DOM. Let's see what is a virtual DOM. Virtual DOM is a lightweight abstraction of the actual DOM, which means in the actual DOM is a tree structure running on browser. Virtual DOM is a lightweight version of that same DOM but in memory. Now you can think of this virtual DOM as a copy of the actual DOM, but then the virtual DOM can be updated as many times as we want without affecting the actual DOM, which means you can modify the virtual DOM as many times as you want. Don't update the actual DOM now. Once you are final that this is the version of the virtual DOM that you want in your actual DOM to be updated, only then go ahead and update. Which means whenever we modify certain things in our UI, it is not going and updating the actual DOM, hence it increases the performance. So virtual DOM has all the same properties as the real DOM, but it does not have the ability to write to the screen like real DOM, which means the virtual DOM is just in-memory version, so it cannot write it on the browser so that you can see anything. So virtual DOM is used for temporary calculation, manipulation. Once everything is finalized, that virtual DOM gets superimposed onto actual DOM, and actual DOM is what we see. So the virtual DOM gains its speed and efficiency from the fact that it's lightweight. In fact, a new virtual DOM is created after every re-render. Let's say a variable is bind to a HTML div tag. So whenever we modify that variable, every time it doesn't go and update the real DOM. Rather, the update will happen on the virtual DOM. And once the value of the variable is finalized, then only the latest value of that variable along with the virtual DOM gets replaced on the actual DOM. Alright. So React based application can easily integrate into your existing application. So if you have an application built on any technology, so React based application can be integrated in the same big application in a smaller part wherever you want. But you can also build a huge application in React, so no one is going to stop you. So React can fit anywhere, and you can even build big application with React. So if you know React, then it is very easy to learn React Native, and React Native is something that helps us build native mobile apps. Like with React Native, you can build mobile apps that can run on Android, that can also run on iOS. You don't have to learn Android development, nor you have to learn iOS development like Swift or those kind of technologies. Just knowing React Native will help you build native mobile apps which will run on the browser, or which will run on your mobile app, and then it will perform exactly same as like normal apps which are built on Android or iOS. So that's the advantage. If you learn React, you can easily start using React Native to build mobile apps. Popularity wise, React is very popular as per the developer survey from Stack Overflow. So let's look at this chart. So if you see, out of this many respondents, which is more than 67,000, React.js is 40% of the people's choice. This is the popularity of React. Then jQuery, then Express, and then our Angular, which comes to around 23%. Vue.js is also there, but the popularity of React is 40%, and it's still going to grow because React.js is a library which is fast, efficient, and very popular, and of course backed by Facebook. This is the official website of React where all the documentations are available, and this is the popularity of React. So the topics that we will cover in the whole course will be broadly classified as fundamentals of React. Then we will see how to use third-party HTTP libraries to make network calls in React. Then we will see how to use third-party libraries with React for routing. And then we will see how to use third-party libraries for doing state management in React. That's called Redux. And then we will also see some utilities. Coming back to local environment setup. So we can basically run React in our browser, but then React, for doing React development, it needs a server, and that server to run on our computer needs a runtime environment called Node.js. And Node.js is a JavaScript runtime environment that helps us run JavaScript outside of browser, which means if I have installed Node.js, then I can run JavaScript not only in the browser but also in my computer. Why do I need to run JavaScript in the computer? Because of local development. Let's say I want to do development with Angular, React, Vue. They need server. So those server and other capabilities, like they need third-party libraries. So the Node.js runtime helps us to manage those capabilities, like downloading third-party libraries for us, building our application in the local, minifying the code, creating a server, and helping us with local environment. So for that we need Node.js. So go to this website and download Node.js based upon your operating system. Choose and download the installer. I have already downloaded Windows installer 64-bit and install. Once you have downloaded it, just follow the normal installation process and complete the installation. So this is one software that you would need. The second software that you will need is Visual Studio Code Editor. You can use any code editor for doing development. Even you can use Notepad, but Visual Studio Code Editor is one of the popular and best tool for doing development. So you can go to this link. From here, choose your installer, download it, and then you can run it with the normal installation process. After that, we have to run this command npx create react app and then give it the name of the app, and this is going to create us a skeleton of our React application. That skeleton is also called as scaffold, but npx will be only understood by your computer if you have installed the Node.js runtime. So in the next lecture, we will go ahead and create our first React application. Thank you.